Years of construction and the pride of a nation, only to end up at the bottom in days. These are the massive warships that were lost on their very first mission. We start our list with United Kingdom, HMS Cobra. This turbine-powered destroyer broke apart during a heavy gale in September of 1901. It happened while she was being delivered to the Navy, navigating the treacherous waters of the North Sea near the outer Dowsing lightship. Most of the crew were lost when the hull simply snapped in two. It was a tragic end for such a modern design. Up next, HMS Thetis. This submarine suffered a disastrous accident during sea trials on a fateful June day in 1939. Right there in Liverpool Bay, a small bit of enamel paint blocked a valve. This led to a torpedo tube being opened to the sea. She sank to the bottom with nearly all hands on board. HMS Umpire. This boat never even made it to her patrol area. While travelling at night in a convoy off the coast of Norfolk in the summer of 1941, she collided with an escort ship. The impact was fatal, sending her down into the dark waters of the North Sea almost immediately. HMS Untamed. Lost off the western coast of Scotland in the Firth of Clyde. This vessel met her doom during a training exercise in May 1943. She failed to surface after a series of dives. The crew struggled for hours, but no one survived. It was a somber reminder of the dangers of submarine operations. Up next, HMS Vandal. This submarine disappeared during her workup trials back in late February of 1943. No one knows exactly what happened beneath the surface of Scotland's Kilbrannan Sound. She went down in deep water and was not found for decades. It remains a haunting mystery of the sea. Now let's look at United States. USS Corvina. This boat was lost on her very first war patrol just south of Truk Lagoon. Downed in November 1943, she was targeted and sunk by a Japanese submarine. It was a rare and deadly duel between two underwater hunters in the vast expanse of the Pacific. Next, USS Dorado. Sometime in mid-October 1943, this vessel vanished in the Caribbean Sea while traveling to the Panama Canal. She was likely the victim of a tragic friendly fire incident involving an American patrol plane. She never even had a chance to engage the enemy. USS Escalar. This ship entered a dangerous minefield on her first patrol late in the fall of 1944. She likely struck a mine and vanished without a trace somewhere in the treacherous depths of the Yellow Sea. Her entire crew was lost. Next up, Australia, HMAS AE1. This was Australia's first submarine loss, taking place in the early days of World War I in September 1914. She disappeared while patrolling the Bismarck Sea off the coast of New Guinea. For over a century, her fate remained unknown until the wreck was finally found. Next up, France. Promette. This French submarine sank suddenly during surface trials off the coast of Cherbourg in the summer of 1932. A technical failure caused her to flood while her hatches were open. Most of the men on deck were saved from the English Channel waters, but those below were trapped. Let's move on to Germany. Bismarck. This massive battleship was the pride of the German fleet. She was hunted down by the Royal Navy in the turbulent North Atlantic in late May of 1941, right after sinking a British Icon. Her first mission turned into a desperate fight for survival that she could not win. Blücher. Leading the invasion of Norway in April 1940, this heavy cruiser was caught by surprise by old coastal guns and torpedoes. The ship capsized and sank into the freezing waters of the Oslo Fjord, ending her career before it truly began. U-40. This German submarine hit a mine in the English Channel back in October 1939. She was only a few days into her first patrol when she met her end near the Dover Straits. The explosion was massive, and only a few survivors were pulled from the water. Next, U-42. Intercepted by British destroyers just after leaving port, this boat met her doom southwest of Ireland in October 1939. She was forced to the surface and sunk by gunfire and depth charges. It was a very short and violent end to her maiden voyage. U-864. This submarine was on a top-secret mission to Japan in February 1945. She was carrying jet engine parts and mercury when a British submarine tracked her down off the coast of Norway. She was sunk in the only known underwater duel between two submerged boats. U-869. For decades, this German submarine was a total mystery. Records showed it was lost near Africa in early 1945. But to everyone's shock, it was actually found resting off the coast of New Jersey. It likely fell victim to its own circling torpedo during its very first patrol. Now this is the U-1206. This boat met a truly embarrassing end in the North Sea off the Scottish coast in April 1945. A high-tech toilet was used incorrectly while deep underwater. The leak caused seawater to flood the batteries. This created toxic gas and forced the crew to surface. They were spotted and the ship was lost. Let's move on to Italy. Remo. This Italian transport submarine was meant to carry precious cargo, but its journey was cut tragically short in July 1943. It barely began its voyage before a British submarine caught it off guard. It went down into the depths of the Ionian Sea, taking most of its crew with it. Then, Romolo. This was the sister ship to the previous entry, and sadly it shared the exact same tragic fate just days later in the summer of 1943. While on its maiden voyage near Sicily, Allied aircraft spotted it from above and sent it permanently to the bottom of the sea. Now let's look at Japan. Taiho. Once the pride of the Japanese fleet, this mighty carrier met its doom during the Battle of the Philippine Sea in June 1944. A single torpedo caused fuel pipes to rupture. The crew tried to vent the fumes, but only spread the explosive gas throughout the ship. A single spark caused a massive, fatal explosion. Next, Shinano. This was the largest aircraft carrier ever built at the time, rushed into service before it was even fully finished. Late in November 1944, just miles off the Japanese coast, American torpedoes struck its hull. Because the watertight doors were incomplete, the flooding couldn't be stopped, and it was lost. Next, Unryu. Carrying special suicide planes for a desperate mission, this carrier never reached its destination. In December 1944, while crossing the East China Sea, a United States submarine fired a spread of torpedoes. This triggered a massive internal explosion that sank the vessel in minutes. Moving on to Russian Empire. Knyaz Suvorov. This flagship led a long, exhausting journey across the globe, only to meet its end at the Battle of Tsushima in May 1905. When it finally reached the straits between Korea and Japan for its first real battle, it was battered by shells and torpedoes. It fought until the end, eventually rolling over and sinking. Borodino. Considered one of the most modern Russian battleships of its time, its lifespan was cut short on that very same day in May 1905. During the intense clash at Tsushima Strait, a direct hit caused the ammunition magazines to explode. The ship vanished beneath the waves in a matter of seconds. Imperator Alexander III. Built to dominate the seas, this massive warship instead faced a wall of fire in the Pacific during the spring of 1905. Engaging the enemy in the bloody waters of Tsushima, it took heavy damage before capsizing. Out of its massive crew, there were almost no survivors.